Hello, everybody. It's Glenda with Fralins and Friends, and I hope you've all had a wonderful day. Tonight, I'm going to tell you a very special story. It is the true story of how my husband, Joe, as known by a lot of you as Sweet Joe, came to be, and how we've been married for 43 years. Joe and I met in 1976. It was the end of April or the beginning of May, as I remember it. The way it came about, friends tried to introduce us in the previous November or December, somewhere around in that area. And let's put it this way. I had been set up on a blind date. My very first date was a blind date. And they'd said, oh, he's a little bit younger than you. I was 15, I think. Something like that. I was almost 16, but it was a chaperone date. We weren't allowed to date until we were 16. And so it was kind of a chaperoned date. And the friend of mine was dating his older brother and said that this young man was just a little younger than me. Well, it turned out that he was like 2 years younger than me. When you're that age, you don't want to date somebody 13 when you're 15. That and a few other little quirks that at that age I just did not want to. But he was all I had, so we dated for a couple months and that was the end of it. Actually, we never dated without the chaperone of his family and my friends. So I don't know if you could ever really call it dates or if it was just hanging around. So when they tried to introduce me or suggested that I meet Joe, well, he's just a little younger than you. Not too bad. And it sounded like the same old story. Because I had met several of the people that they had wanted me to date, and they were, let's just say, none of them were very much up to what I'd want my daughter around. So, because this was after my divorce. So anyway, I put it off. They finally broke me down and they said, you'll never meet a sweeter guy. He's just the best guy. And his brother happened to be married to a friend. Well, actually, they weren't married yet, but they had a couple of kids. They'd been living together for a few years. And I met them through a friend who was married to his brother's wives, I'll call it. Anyway, it was just about everybody in the circle was related to one person or the other in the group. And it all sounded a little too familiar, and I had put it off. Finally, I said, okay, let's have a get together at my place. And it's everybody there. And I'll see what happens. Well, in walks this tallish, thin man. And he had wavy, curly hair. In fact, his hair curled a lot right down here at the end. And he was good looking. And only 1 year younger. Now, when you're older and you've got a kid, then 1 year younger isn't so bad. So we started seeing each other. It was really kind of painful at first. This is going to be a funny. I'll try to hurry it up a little. Joe was extremely shy. He had not been a big dater. He was kind of intentionally a wallflower, from what I understand. He just didn't really, it wasn't that he wasn't interested in girls. He was, and he wanted to date, but he just didn't think any of them wanted to date him, and just kind of like that. So he was so terribly shy. And so the first few dates, it was like, where do you want to go? And I was like, I didn't mean to make you mad. You can take me back home. He said, no, I just want to know where you want to go. So I would mention this place or that place. Okay, that's where we're going. And that was like about the first 3 dates. And then one time we were at his brother's house, and he was just talking away to his brother. Of course he would. It was his brother. But I was getting a little heated by that time. And I said, if you aren't going to tell me what you're mad at me about, then I think we just better call it, because this is just really bugging me. Or something to that effect. And he lost it. He says, I am not mad at you. I've told you that, but I'm getting mad at you if you don't quit interrupting. Whoa. Now that's not the sweet Joe we know today. But that was the reply that came from an exceedingly shy man who really hadn't been around. He was one of 4 brothers, let's put it that way. So he'd known his sister-in-laws, but that was about it. And his mom, of course. So things got a little easier after that. And moved a little more quickly. We got to where we were able to converse. It just broke the ice. We were able to talk to each other and able to talk about one thing or another. And finally, one time, we'd been, I guess, seriously dating for, a couple of months. And he says, what if we got married? I was really kind of kidding at the moment. And I said, what do you mean, what if? Because he was saying, what if we got married? We wouldn't fight like so-and-so does. And my immediate answer was just to give him, I was teasing. I said, what do you mean, what if? But he definitely didn't catch on that I was teasing. He worked out of town with his stepfather on a bridge crew. And he was the one who flew up in the air on the trapeze, kind of in between. Anyway, he was on a harness. So the next thing I knew, he comes back the next weekend and he's like, well, I told Mom. I said, you told your mom what? That we're going to get married. It's like, oh. And he was like, well, you did want to get married, didn't you? And I said, well, yeah. I really did, but I wasn't really meaning to push him. And nobody really said anything at that time. But one day his sister-in-law and his brother showed up. I was running around in my shorts, summer shorts, and they said, well, get yourself ready and let's go. Well, which meant getting Angie and all that ready too, so I did that. And I said, where are we going? Because I thought, well, they're just going to take me out shopping or something. I don't know, because they like to shop. So they said, well, we're going to take you down to meet Mom. Like, what? Shouldn't Joe do that? Oh, he knows. That turned out not to be quite true. We got down to Wymore, which is where we live now. At the time, I'd been living in Beatrice. We say 15 miles north. The sign says 12, but that's at the curve, so I don't know. Because the curve is like 6 miles away. We estimate. We all estimate around here. Towns are just, you don't go by exact figures. It's the best guesstimation. So they picked me up. They picked us up. And Joe was off work with his, he'd been probably off to work all week. I hadn't seen him yet. And so I end up down there, and they ditch me there. They ditch me and the little one's there. So they take off, and I'm sitting there trying to get to know his mom, and we actually did hit it off, but I felt a little uncomfortable. And so when he came in the door that evening, I'm sitting there on the sofa. "What are you doing here?" I said, "I thought you knew. Russell and Cindy came and got me and told me I was coming down here." He said, "Oh, that sounds like them." I thought you knew. Anyway, so then on August 21st, 1976, we got married. 43 years and some odd months since then, we've never stopped loving each other. Love has grown, and this is the thing. I get so irritated because I see young people go through a first argument or two and they say, "Oh, that's it. We're just breaking up." You weather this stuff. You have to weather those storms. And we've weathered a few of them. And mostly, we've weathered our financial woes. The economy goes up and down. And raising kids will test your marriage, believe me. But we made it a rule from the beginning that unless it was something really serious, we were not going to contradict each other in front of the kids. We would discuss any difference we had with the other later, out of their earshot, and that's what we did. And the kids, when they were teenagers, you guys just always take each other's side, talking about me and Joe. It's like, yep, kids, that's the way it is. And they didn't live a hard life at all. So we've had 43 wonderful years. We have got 11 grandchildren, soon to be 12, an even dozen. That's enough, guys. And Valentine's Day is in 2 days. So I hope that you all have your Valentine's stories, or that you plan a good Valentine's story for yourself someday. Don't sell yourself short. Love is worth it. Love is worth so much. And no, there's no guarantees in life. There's no guarantee you'll find a sweet Joe. But maybe you're not a sweet Glenda either. I'm not. He puts up with me. Neither one of us really care for conflict. I'm more likely to take it on than he is. But we tend more to discuss. And we neither one, when we get in, if we do argue, we're neither one very happy with ourselves, let alone the other. So we try to keep the volume down and tend more to discuss it, or to table it until we can feel a little calmer and discuss it then. So happy Valentine's Day to my sweet Joe, who I just heard in the other room. I know he can hear me. And I do love him very much. And he knows that. And I hope we we may not get 43 years more, but I think there'll be a few. So wish your loved one a happy Valentine's Day. You don't have to do anything huge or big. we often don't. So it's more in being together. So do something sweet. A hug, an I love you, a dinner, if that's your thing. And we will see you on Friday. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed our story. Good night.